I look at DJing as an art form in a sense of, I really respect the tradition of it. It's like the European stonemasons making cathedrals and handing that down to the next generation. And here in Detroit, I've had some of the best teachers in the world.
He'd pull a record out and he'd say, look, if you see a record that says Magic Wand on it, he's like, sight unseen, we're buying that record. Or if you see, you know, if it's a silver label with black print on it, you pull that record, we'll buy that one too, sight unseen. So we cultivated this romance built on, you know, searching for the perfect beat. My passion and drive for Detroit electronic music and dance music and just the whole culture in general sort of evolved out of a rebellion of my parents, my hippie parents' rock background. It was something that set me apart from what they did. Hearing a track on the radio, Good Life, I heard that on the radio and I'm like, that's me, that is my sound, that embodies what I am, and it's nothing like what my parents did. My name is Angela Linder. I go by Angie Linder. I am the co-founder of Detroit Techno Militia, Detroit Artist Agency, and a plethora of other things here in Detroit.
One thing that stands out about Angie is her pure excitement with DJing, DJ culture as it pertains to techno and anything techno related. You can see her wonderment and her smiles and her laughter and just loving the music, not only as a promoter of the music and the culture, but as a fan of it. You know, just getting excited, hearing great tunes, hearing great DJs, and more importantly, supporting that and pushing it forward. You always need leaders to push the envelope forward, and Angie pushes that envelope as well as anyone. She's an important part of our history in Detroit, and she's still going with Detroit Techno Militia.
I went from being just a listener to a participant in the dance community and culture. It stems from having a broken home and trying to find that family feeling. So I went and the family you want is the family that you pick. It's not necessarily what you're born into. I mean, I love my family now, but at that time, my parents were going into a different direction. My dad was remarried 4 times, and I didn't have that stability. And I really found that going to events, I saw the same people over and over, people that took me under their wing or maybe helped give me that sense of belonging to something and traditions and in that sort of sense. So that's how I went from being just going somewhere to being involved in.
And Angie Linder serves as kind of the den mother of techno in Detroit, or a large faction of techno in Detroit from a big time period, as she has hosted events, promoted events, booked various DJs, been the heart and soul of Detroit Techno Militia, all the way from Detroit to Berlin. She's involved herself on many levels, from procurement, ideas, bridging the gap between Europe and Detroit, helping the economy of Detroit techno, the economy of the music, promoting nightlife, promoting, supporting of nightlife. And so she's done it on so many different levels, not just from a DJ collective perspective, but almost like an ambassador for the culture in and of itself. So Angie Linder is, you know, if you were in the Girl Scouts, there would be a den mother that everyone would go to, or at least everyone would interface with at some point in time. And I think Angie Linder serves as that person. It comes from a special place of just loving the music. I know that she fell in love with it as a fan and simply immersed herself in it on all levels, to the point where it has become synonymous with who Angie Linder is. She is Detroit Techno. She is a person that has put a building block in the architecture, in the structure of this thing we call not just techno, but Detroit techno, and how it's spread across the globe. Angie Linder.
I first got into electronic music, techno, when I was in college, and I was really into a lot of industrial music. And my style of music kind of comes from harder edge industrial style than a lot of the traditional Detroit techno out there. I am T Linder from Detroit Techno Militia. I'm one of the founding members, DJ and producer of the crew. When I first started going to parties, going to raves, going to techno events, one of my favorite DJs, Greg Montgomery, DJ Eclipse, someone who the first time I saw him play, I said, I'm gonna do that. I wanna play like that. He was just raw on the decks, played hard as nails, and that next week I went out and I bought a pair of Gemini DD50 turntables. And I haven't looked back since. That was '96.
Electronic music definitely is my sense of community and identity beyond just being somewhere to, make a dollar or make money. We've always made music not to make money. We've made money to make the music. So with electronic music, with the dance culture and everything like that, it's more than just someplace where it's an employment or a job that we do. It is something that we've never wanted to capitalize on. It just came naturally, like having a job in the music industry. We've always looked at making money to make music. So you have your side hustle so that we can bring an infusion of cash into the music business side of things to make that music. When you make the music to make the money, you lose the essence of what it truly is. It's so much part of my identity that it's not something that I want to exploit. It's something that I want to help cultivate.
Once I started doing production, it was an opportunity for me to get out and travel the world and see great places. And making your own records, it's a great way for our promoters overseas or right here to get to know your style and to get to know who you are. I always say it's a really expensive business card. I started touring in 2007, and I think I've been to 23 countries DJing and 5 continents. It's been a dream come true to share this style of Detroit techno or Detroit electro, techno, house with the rest of the world, because a lot of people don't know techno the way the street DJs do it, the way a lot of the unsung DJs do it. Like when you see a lot of times you'll see an artist, they pick up the record and they barely touch it, they put it down and then they pick it up and they put it in a little plastic sleeve, and I'm up there, I'm physical with it. They're tools to me. I can always buy another record, especially now with the internet. I can go on and buy whatever record. And I'm playing fast and just tossing the record over or whatever. They're not used to that, and so that's kind of almost a novelty that they haven't seen. For me, it's I like to use vinyl and classic Technics 1200s because it's what I know best. For me, I started out playing records. I started out on turntables. It's still what I do today. And it's gonna take me forever to digitize it, so I just stuck with it.
Tom Linder, T Linder, he's Tom to me. Tom Linder was very influential on me. He took the time to educate me a lot about music, specifically Detroit electronic music. Some of our first dates were digging for records at completely random record stores. He would show me, he'd pull a record out and he'd say, look, if you see a record that says Magic Wand on it, he's like, sight unseen, we're buying that record. Or if you see, if it's a silver label with black print on it, you pull that record, we'll buy that one too, sight unseen. So we cultivated this romance built on, searching for the perfect beat and finding the vinyl record that, had been forgotten and buried, the dollar bin records, and we've spent time sitting on record store floors looking through piles of records only to pull out Aux 88 white labels that had been long forgotten in a record store no one would have ever visited to find Aux 88 white label records. So he was a huge influence and cultivator of, what I find is my personal passion now.
My style of DJing is kind of based on what I call the Detroit street style DJs. It's not always just long blends. I always look at it as making records sound cool together, and that isn't necessarily just blending records together. It's doing tricks with it, doing doubles copies of the same record on each turntable, and trying to push the art form of DJing, and little scratch tricks and more turntablism style for techno DJ. I'm not really, I shouldn't say satisfied with just hearing two records blended, because I do that too, but I like to push the art a different direction than that. I look at DJing as an art form in a sense of, I really respect the tradition of it. It's like the European stonemasons making cathedrals and handing that down to the next generation. And here in Detroit, I've had some of the best teachers in the world. And I kind of look at it as wanting to carry on that tradition of playing records, pushing the tradition. I really respect the culture of Detroit DJing. And the artists who came before me who are still out there doing it, and ones who aren't around anymore. I've always looked at that as in a sense of like having a great respect for the tradition, because it shaped my life since I was 20 years old, and I was able to make a career out of it.
T Linder, he's first of all an excellent student of the game. What strikes us about T Linder is that he did his homework from an early stage. He used to be the person in the front of the line, watching the DJs, watching the delivery. He was studying, he was learning, he was falling in love with the music, and he took it and did what he had to do to become a DJ himself. He became a record collector. He immersed himself in the culture. He studied the greats. He studied those who came before him, and he put pieces of us inside of him as he developed his own style. T Linder has a wild, reckless style. You can't format him. You can't put him in a box. You do not know what he's going to play, but he's in complete control of his sets, and as he delivers with furious rage all the time. Funny thing about T Linder is that when he gets going, he will DJ on one leg. I mean that. You watch his leg. We call it the chicken leg or the turkey leg or something, but he's hopping on it. And he's such in a groove, he just does it unconsciously. But when you see that leg go up, he's really feeling what he's doing. And it's really funny to me. I'm one of his good friends that I discovered T Linder as I was DJing decades ago with Terrence Parker. And we would see T Linder out in the club, and we would see him, supporting the nights. And T Linder, I didn't know he was DJing. He was starting to DJ. He gave me a mix CD. And I was so happy to get it because, we see him at the parties. We know he's spinning now. And I get this CD, I pop it in, and to my surprise, it was house music. And T Linder is more known for the harder, edgier techno and industrial type of delivery. But it was house, and his selections were great. But what I noticed is that the blends were off. I was kind of laughing to myself because he had the spirit, but at that time, he didn't have the technique. So I'm very critical. I just said, well, this dude can't spin yet. But he's definitely getting there, but the blends were just off on a few blends, and I was like, yikes, man, you gotta tighten your shit up. Well, he did tighten up on the highest level, because that man is immaculate as he plays. He went through, cleaned his technique up, got better, implements tricks now and again, and he is a complete master of what he does. And it just makes us proud as old veterans seeing the guy come up, take it over, run with it, and do his own thing with it and put his imprint on it. So T Linder, with his own style, with his own mastery of the turntables, is a special treat for the world to see. And we see him all over the world, from here to Berlin to Europe, everywhere. He's doing his thing. T Linder, you know, Detroit, the heart of Detroit Techno Militia.
The founding of Detroit Techno Militia, again, a lot of my life is rooted in rebellion. I did not want to be told, you know, what to listen to or what to do and what to like as far as music was concerned. So we were inspired to create Detroit Techno Militia to say, hey, this is what we love. Check it out. Learn more about this. Tom and I were great friends at the time. We spent a lot of time together, and we came up with the name. And I said to Tom, I think it would be a great movement in Detroit. It would be something that we were inspired by people like Underground Resistance putting messages in their music, telling the people that, you know, to stand up for what they believe in. The name sort of was a play on that inspiration of what they gave to us. So I said to Tom, if I start this, will you be my DJ, my first DJ? And he was like, absolutely. Within a day, we had formalized everything. We came up with a logo, built a website, had business cards, and we were ready to hit the streets running, to tell people about this. And it really, the name is so provocative that it garnered a lot of attention. If you wore a Detroit Techno Militia shirt on the street, you would be stopped by people you've never talked to before, and it was an opportunity to sort of preach the gospel of techno to them. Detroit Techno Militia grew into being the collective that it is today by having this tremendous friend circle around us, a bunch of local DJs who were sort of spinning their wheels in the local scene, and they're excellent, and they had no exposure outside of Detroit. So it honestly started with just some phone calls. Joe, Dark Cube, do you want to be one of our DJs? We have this great idea. What do you think? You know, and he signed up. He signed on, and then, you know, making call after call, sort of in the similar sense. ELV, DJ Soul, Annex, all those guys. It was a call like, hey, you have the same passion that we have. You guys do the music, I'll do the business side of things, the website and all the bookings and everything, and you do what you guys do best, DJ. And that's truly how it grew from basically nothing. Detroit Techno Militia is my 98% focus and outlet, but I am a classically trained musician. I played the trumpet. I am part of a community orchestra as well. Music is just sort of my identity, and I love all types of music, dance music specifically. But it really gives me a chance to have my creative outlet by playing an instrument.
Well, for me, I look at the way I play and the way I approach every set. I look at it as I have something to prove every time I go out and play. I don't want to just ever just kind of like, oh, you know, I'm just gonna phone it in, take it easy on this one. No, I want to be in there proving every single time. Every time I play out, you know, it's always fun and it's never boring.
The world has not truly heard everything Detroit has to offer, and that's really something that compels me to be involved in the scene. You can go to any club at any time, any place in Detroit, and hear world-class talent that has never played beyond a crowd of 10 people. To me, that is baffling. To me, that gives me the inspiration to want to do more and give more and help bring that talent forward more and give them more of an outlet for their talent.
Trying to rock the planet, but we here to take control. The militias come to rock, underground but not unknown. The sounds that you presented, senseless, spineless, null and void. Face your fates, all you suckers, leave the techno to Detroit. I don't understand. No mistake, we come to damage every time the needle drops. Lock and load our fusion cannons while they're riding on our jocks. From the basements like a virus, sound distracted globally. Till you love it and adore it. Pop the vinyl and MP3.